up, acting up.
What happened?
Nah, it's just acting up. Like, you know, it keeps stopping the man. You know, every time, you know, I think IG likes, I don't want to sound mad, guys. I think IG likes chicks twerking and shit a lot better than some real talk. Because every time I get it in and every time I start talking some real shit, I always have Wi-Fi technicalities. This is not an invention. This is not a lie. Those of you who watch the show every day, y'all know that every time we start talking some real shit, you know, the IG want to, you know, act up.
Watermelon and the Ciroc is strong.
Ciroc, a much finer vodka. Yeah, it's crazy, man. And the big show, man. You know what it is, man. We bring you that real shit every day. You seen that picture? You know, everybody be trying to throw up their before and after picture. I posted earlier that picture of me and Pun when we look like the Kingpin and the Punisher. You know what I'm saying? And I ain't got to show you what I look like now. It's nothing, nowhere near the same. Titi Barber, what's up? How you doing? Shout out my Uncle Feo. He's a little bit under the weather. I hope he gets better. Feo, te quiero mucho. Let's see if Isaac Wright will come back, man. Damn, man. We try to inspire the people. We try to bring people on here that change their life around. You know what I'm saying? That can inspire you. There's a guy somewhere out there, a young lady somewhere that needs this information. She needs this gem. He needs this gem to get past some bullshit. Jeezy, you can look up my Instagram. Jeezy already been on the show. So Jeezy been on a show. You name it, everybody been on here. Tonight, Isaac Wright, attorney at law. I'm praying he comes back on here. But that Wi-Fi acting crazy. Say something in Spanish. Yo soy boricua y cubano, ya tú sabes. Por supuesto, yo sabo el español. Me defiendo. ¿Me oíste? El más duro, el más que manda, eso soy yo. Déjate de eso. Yo, man. Yeah, Jay. You know, they be thinking I don't know how to talk Spanish, man. I talk that shit. Cousin Miriam, what's up? So, yeah, my cousin Miriam on here. Yo, Miriam, they always tell me all the time I don't acknowledge I'm Cuban. I never say I'm Puerto Rican without saying I'm Cuban. I'm both. I ain't Thank you, Jeff. You like the gang-affiliated shirt, huh? It's just like a billionaire to it's just like a billionaire to throw a lion, to throw a fucking steak in the lion's mouth. He said, oh, I love that shirt. This should have get me killed at any block in L.A. Yeah, man. He's coming on again?
He's on again.
No, he's not on. Yeah, he's coming. Yo, Jeff, I took Drake by that property on that water. Shit, a mile long. That's what you gonna get for on the leg. He in the comments? No.
Yes, sir.
Nah, he's not in the comments, bro. I'm watching everything, bro. Trust me, I ain't keep my eyes off the comments.
What's up with your man, Jared Kushner?
Jared Kushner.
We've seen in a lot of the black community, which is mostly Democrat, is that President Trump's policies are the policies that can help people break out of the problems that they're complaining about, but he can't want them to be successful more than they want to be successful. And what you're seeing...
Jared Kushner, huh? Boy, I tell you, boy, he talking about you want it yourself. I don't know what community. You go to the brokest black community, they all want to be successful. They say he been there. I don't know where. I don't see it. They saying he been there. I'm looking for it.
I'm not the only one.
I know, but I swear to my mother, I'm looking at all this shit. looking at all this shit. They said he been there. Nah, I ain't got it. I ain't got it. Trust me when I tell you. I don't see it. I do not see it. You see it?
I saw him twice.
Colors.
Straight up in the comments.
Nah, I ain't see him in the comments. Stop lying.
I'm not. That means me and everyone else.
I haven't seen him.
He
Everybody.
just go right now again.
Nah. What's up from Kosovo? Nah. Isaac, one more. There you go. He just popped up. Don't tell me he there. I see him as soon as he pop up.
We're all blind.
Isaac Wright Jr. There you go again. Yo, Isaac, I don't know what to tell you. You know, it seems to me IG has a greater, they love seeing girls twerk more than feeding the people the real information. Because every time I get a real brother on here, they shut my shit down. But so Isaac, just take it from there. You got so you go back and you said to yourself, I'm gonna get myself out of here. You got 172 years. And realistically, in real life, I mean,
those are numbers. Those are numbers. So it really doesn't work out the same. I had life plus 72 years on the remaining charges. So when you and the reason why that's very important, because when you got numbers and you have a lot of different convictions and you go on appeal, when you knock some of those convictions out, it juggles your time a little bit. It brings it down. Give you an example related to me. I got my life sentence. I created a new law while I was in. I was helping people, getting people out while I was in. I think I got maybe 20-something people out while I was actually in fighting my case. And what I did was I created this new legal theory, and I used that theory in another prisoner's case that came in down with me maybe 2 years later. And he was drug kingpin, he had life. I got his life sentence reversed and got him out. And then that new law I used to get my life sentence reversed. But what they did was, and this is where it matters, what they did was they said, okay, we see what you did. They reversed my life sentence. They vacated it. But what they did was they affirmed all the other convictions. So now I still got 70-something years to do, and I'm facing retrial on the life. You know, and so it wasn't until a couple of years later that I got a police officer on the stand, and I broke him. He confessed. I got him to confess on the witness stand under oath some years later, while I was still waiting to go back to trial on the life sentence. And was still.
So were you a kingpin, or were you just doing a little bit something here and there? Was you falsely accused?
No, I was falsely accused. Here's and this is the way, because I get asked that question all the time, but you got to look at it like this. And I'm going to say this, and then you'll understand exactly where I'm coming from. Before I got that law enforcement officer to confess, they were going to take me back to trial on the kingpin, and I had the 70 years that I was doing. They offered me a deal to go home in 2 years, and I turned it down. I was offered a deal. I was no testimony, no cooperation. Just listen. We're tired of you. We want you out of here. Take this deal. You'll be home in 2 years, and you can go on with your life. And I turned it down. And the deal, the issue with me turning it down was that if I lost that motion, if I wasn't able to get this police officer to confess, I would have went back to jail with the life sentence again. It was going to take me back to trial, send me back to prison with the life sentence plus the 70. And so that gives you an idea. That decision that I made to risk my entire life on hoping that I can get a police officer to confess gives you an idea on how adamant I was about my innocence.
Wow. And you know what? It's hard to say, but a lot of friends of mine, attorney friends, they always say the truth shall set you free, right? And you're like, and so you believe in the truth so much that you like, yo, fuck that, I'm going home. And but had you took them 2 years, you wouldn't be able to be practicing as an attorney right now.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. My life would have been entirely different. I would have. It was black and white. I would have either. Well, there was three things that would have happened. I would have been back in prison still today with the life sentence, I would have been home if I took the deal, and who knows where my life would have went.
Struggling, fucked up.
You know, that was a great possibility. And then, you know, it was the issue of really rolling the dice and turning my back in the 90s, hoping to get a police officer to confess on the stand. You know, and that was skill. That was a situation where it was 7.5 years later. I had already done 7.5 years in prison. My skills as a legal advocate was, you know, even for me looking back on it, it was incredible. It was just, I had gotten that good. And when I see myself in the mirror, you know, I see a person that was ordained by God to do what I'm doing, because the skill set that it took to get a law enforcement officer to put himself in prison in order that a black man is going to go free is just, you know, that's unheard of today, much less in the 90s.
You know, I had luck like that one time with a much way lesser case. We had got caught with 2 guns and they pulled me off. It pulled me over in front of the church. And when they pulled us over, my guy gave him the license. We had no tinted windows. It wasn't no drug area. And so when we went to so they locked me up for 2 guns. It was under my seat. And when we went to the suppression hearing, they questioned the cop who locked me up on the stand. They said, well, was it a drug neighborhood? He was like, no. They was like, did they give you license and registration? He was like, yeah. Oh, what was there? He was like, a church, St. Augustine's church. He was like, well, then why did you pull these guys out the car? And the guy just blew up. I didn't know no better. I was like maybe 18, 19. I got scared to death. The cop blew up in the stand and was like, because he's fucking Joey the drug dealer. He's Joey the drug. And my lawyers are like giving high fives. I don't know what's going on, but you know, the judge dismissed the case, and because he was biased, and he pulled us over with no criminal intent. But I remember that judge.
No probable cause.
Yeah. No probable cause. And I remember that judge looked at me and said, listen, man, you better never come in this courtroom again, because I believe those was your guns. If you come in this motherfucker again, I was like, no. So you come home now. Now you're home. Yeah. Forget it. You got 172. And shout out to my man BX Hove, because BX Hove, I know he plugged you in with 50 Cent to do your life story on TV, right? Yeah. Correct?
Yes. And one of the best brothers I know.
He told me, yeah, he's a good brother too. I know him too. He's a real good brother. And he told me about the infamous Cherokee that had 300,000 miles on it when you came home. Tell me about that. You come home now. Now you home.
I'm home. So for me, you know, I did all of this with a high school diploma. You know, in the show, the show was they changed the way in which I got my license a little bit in the show, but everything that I did, from new law to getting at least 20 people out of prison, getting myself out of prison, having the skills to force a law enforcement officer to confess, I did all of that with a high school diploma. So when I came out on the street, you know, the next thing was, you know, what was I going to be doing with my life? Because over that 7.5 years, I had lost. So it was a situation where, you know, I had to start all over from scratch. And I then decided I was going to pursue a law degree. And it takes 7 years of college to get a law license, or at least a law degree, a doctorate degree in law. And so what that means is that's 4 years of undergraduate with a bachelor's and another 3 years. And after doing 7.5 years in prison, I did another 7 years in college. Now, in doing that 7 years, I had the best car that I've had, you know, and you mentioned Hove, but Hove knows me very well. I've had quite a few cars, but the best car in my life was a 2000 Grand Jeep Cherokee Limited. That car got about, like you said, almost 300,000 miles on it, because that car took me over the course of the next 7 years pursuing that law degree from New York to Miami. I went to college in New Jersey, and I went to law school in Miami. And so while I was going to law school, I was also helping people with their cases all over the country, and that's the car that got me there. So that car took me from prison to doctorate degree in law. That's my baby. I still have it today. I don't drive it anymore.
Yeah, you need to save that car. You need to
That's
save that car.
That is my museum
Also,
piece, that car.
Also, I believe the school you got your law degree from, they have a section of it named after you. Man, it's happening again. Yeah, I can hear you. I'm trying to see. You can't.
We got some.
You bugging out again.
Problems again. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I was saying that the school that you freezing up. Do we want to try this shit again, Isaac? You come back on, Isaac.
Yeah, you were breaking up. I couldn't hear you. You kind of blacked out.
I said the school that you went to, now they have a section of the school where you got your law degree from that's named after you. Is that correct?
Yeah, they renamed the cafeteria in my honor, the Isaac Wright Jr. Cafe. The law school renamed it. Yes.
Yeah, because it's an exceptional story, Isaac. So now you're a lawyer. Have you ever had to go back?
Not yet. After I passed the bar, and this is a whole nother issue. You know, I graduated from law school. I passed the bar the next year after graduating. And usually when you pass the bar, it takes a few weeks for you to get your license. If you have something in your background, you know, maybe it takes a few months. And when I got out of law school, I had no record at all. My record was clean. If I got pulled over and they did an NCIC on me, nothing would come up. But what New Jersey did was, after I passed the bar, for 9 more years before giving me a license. 9 years, you know. And so
even though you legitimately passed the law bar, they still ain't give you your license for 9 years?
9 years. They investigated me with no record. Mind you, I have no criminal record. It was clear what happened. The cop confessed, and not only confessed, my trial judge went to jail. My prosecutor ran and killed himself when all of this stuff came out with me. He took off. The feds went behind him, and he killed himself in a Vegas hotel. So this wasn't just a situation where my record was clear. This was a situation where it was clear that I was set up. And with all the damage that had been done based on what they tried to do to me, they shouldn't have investigated me for a month, but investigated me for 9 years.
You know what bugs me out, Isaac? And I say it all the time. And no disrespect. I know everybody got to do their job, police officers, prosecutors. But their job, if you let them tell you, their job is to go to work every day. And if you're guilty, they'll lock you up and they'll give you life and 72 years if they can. They'll high five every time they give you time. And every time one of those guys get caught for some corruption or some shit, they always kill themselves. These are the same guys that give a guy 100 years every day. And every time it's their time to do some time. And so if you work for law enforcement, if you work for being a prosecutor's office, and it's no big deal. You got somebody 32 years today, destroy the family, and you go eat lunch right after, no problem. But then when you get jammed up somehow, you can't do that time. You go and kill yourself.
No. This same guy, when I was getting sentenced to life, this same prosecutor, and he was the head prosecutor. Mind you, head prosecutors don't try cases; their assistants do. But this guy decided he wanted to try my case. He leaves when I'm getting sentenced to the life. He leaves his table next to our table, next to the defense table. He goes up to the judge's bench so he can turn around and look at me. And while the judge was giving me life, he was smiling. This is the kind of person that, you know, that was actually persecuting.
can't hear you. Let's do it again. One more time. One more time, Isaac. Damn. The man talking that shit. Like, unbelievable. The big show. So the prosecutor kills himself. He couldn't handle it. And so the man not only gets himself out of there, he becomes a lawyer after it. And they name a piece of the school after him. So remarkable. Isaac.
You got me now?
I appreciate your patience, man.
Man, patience.
No, but this is all about inspiring the people, man. We got people at risk, youth. We got guys who probably still is hustling in the trap house watching the Fat Joe show. We got girls that are confused, but they take a story like this, it may be something like this, to inspire them and let them know that they can change their life. Yeah. You know, this is why your story is so important to me. So let me ask you something. Have you ever had to walk in that same courtroom? They sentenced you representing a client?
Oh, I practice in that courtroom. I'm representing a client, a murder suspect right now in that courtroom.
So Isaac, you walked right back in that courtroom.
When I walked back in that courtroom, it was like they was looking at death. One of the main prosecutors was challenging me even being there. But I got a law license now. I'm licensed to practice law. There was nothing she can do about it. And I'm practicing in that same courtroom that sent me to prison for life. Yeah.
You know what happens, Isaac? You're very scary. And I'm going to tell you why. Because had you not gotten into this trouble, you would have never been a lawyer. You would have never known your greatness. You would have never known your gift in life. You would have never known how intelligent you truly are. Because you shooting the shit in the street is different than you shooting the shit in the courtroom. So guys in the street that was hanging out with you knew you was smart, but we didn't know you could be a lawyer. And so what happens is a lot of times, it's real shit, right? Like we got some smart friends, but we never thought, yo, they could be a lawyer, let alone get 20 people out of jail while they're in jail, come home, become an attorney, a lawyer, and practice in the same room, the same courtroom. And so that's why, man, that's why, you know, a lot of our people take the easy way out or give up prematurely and don't really know their greatness, don't really know that they're kings and they're geniuses and they're smart. Is it a little bit different when you walk in there after the TV show? Do they know that's Isaac Wright walking in that courtroom?
Yeah, they know. They all know. And when I say all, obviously it's not, you know, it's not a complete factual statement. The factual statement will probably be most of them know. The judges know, the prosecutor, they know, and the ones that don't know in the beginning, they hear about it, there's whisper, and then they find out. And sometimes that's a benefit, and sometimes, you know, it's not. Because you have prosecutors and judges that want to test those skills. So they're not going to give you the benefit of the doubt. You're going to have to work 10 times as hard to get around some of the things that they set up. To make a decision in the law, he has law on both sides of those decisions. So he just get that part of the law that's going to set denial. It may get reversed on appeal, but you just lost. Now you have to go on appeal and take your chances. And so, when you get in situations like that, one of the things that helps me is that I realized back when I was going through my situation that I have to always be 10 steps ahead. They can't see me coming. And as long as I keep myself in a position where I've already outthought them, and I know they have no clue what I'm going to do next, you know, it doesn't matter what decisions that they make. At the end of the day, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to get the results that I want for my client. And obviously for myself, because the reason why I'm fighting, I'm fighting for justice. Most of the clients that I represent, most of them, you know, they are in situations where they're not being treated fairly. Either they're facing more time than they should be facing, or they actually didn't do the crime. They may even know the people who did it, and we have a lot of that in the hood, but they weren't the ones who did. And so, you know, I'm always motivated to go that extra mile, to give up. The ball begins and ends for me when it's rolling.
Similar, there's a big cliche that I've always argued against. It always says that when an artist signs another artist to a recording contract, that they feel like the artist only cares about himself. He shouldn't have other artists or whatever. I say it's actually wrong. I say me being an artist and knowing how much people took advantage of me and robbed me and stole from me, I would definitely protect an artist of mine and make sure they don't go through the same pitfalls and go through the same hard times as me. And so I think that's similar to you, being that you went through all this shit in your life. You understand that family's pain. You understand
Absolutely.
that guy's pain or this young lady's pain that she's going through. And I say you would go above and beyond, because look, man, you know, an artist, we as good as our last show. So, you know,
Absolutely.
we take concerts, we do this, and that's how we pay our bills. So I be thinking that lawyers, doctors, they become numb to what's really going on, because they just be like, yo, new chase, new check, new case, new surgery, new money, new this, new that. But the
Absolutely.
people are going through some shit. And I think most of your clients, they figured that out. They said, man, this guy came from where I came from. He ain't gonna bullshit me. He at least gonna let me know, yo, we ain't gonna win this.
Let me give you an example. The last trial that I did was a federal trial, Hobbs Act robbery. The guy that I represented, I know he's not gonna have a problem saying his name. His name was Jason Thompson. Jason Thompson was in a whole hell of a lot of trouble. His crimes were based on a robbery that he was accused of attempting to commit in Passaic, New Jersey, and he was arrested for it by the state of New Jersey with kidnapping and a bunch of other things. He confessed to the crime. He actually, it was a situation where he said, okay, yeah, okay, I did it. I mean, number one, he was on videotape at the scene. The victims pointed him out in the lineup. It was clear that he had done it, and he confessed. And so a sequence of events occurred where the state dropped the charges, the feds picked it up, and now, and when the state dropped the charges, they had already officers accepting that. He told his lawyer, I'll take it. Point, the state and the feds collab together, which they do all the time.
We can't hear him again, man. I can't hear you, Isaac. Same shit. Can't hear you. Jesus Christ. Every time we talking that real shit, yo, Dre, I'm on the show. Jesus, see if you can hear me now, because I couldn't hear him. God damn, man. And yo, Jesus Christ. Every time we talking that real shit, yo, Dre, I'm on the show. Yo, Jay, you've been fucking talking to the planet Earth, your attorneys and this, you know, like, yeah, come on, unbelievable. The man, we gonna bring him back and then we gonna end it, man. But the man done went, got falsely accused to life for 72 years, came back and beat that shit from jail, went to college for 7 years. After he passed the test, they didn't give him his license till 9 years later. This shit crazy, man. And like, it's so hard, man, to like, You know, and one of the biggest fears I have, Isaac, you hear me? You can hear me now?
I can hear you now, yes.
One of the biggest shits I got is they never think you could change. They never think you can change. They see once a crook. In fact, I remember when I was little, they used to look at little kids and be like, yo, your father was a crook. You're a crook. Like, so like, because your father did something, you're automatically a crook.
Right.
Like, you can't change your life. And we proud of you, brother, man. And thanks for inspiring us, man, so much. I want to ask you one funny question before we leave it. We usually ask people what's their top 5 rappers of all time. But I want you to give me your top 5 rappers when you was in jail. You know, when I started the show with Juice from Rakim. But I want you to pick your top 5 rappers when you was going through that shit in there. What music was you listening to then?
Well, my anthem, what I can tell you is when I got out, I had an anthem that I lived by for a long time, and that was Mobb Deep's Hell on Earth. Because it represented, Hell on Earth represented everything that I was going through. And so that was one of my favorite songs. But if it comes down to what I think the top 5 rappers, obviously you have to put Rakim in there. I think Biggie would be in the top 5. Jay-Z, Pac. I don't know, and from that, you know, from there, I think a lot of people are on the same. They're probably right up there on the same level. I put about 5 or 6 people at number 5. You know, but
yeah, I would do number 5 for you. 50 Cent. Yeah, boy, cut the check. Let's just.
Indeed.
Let's get 50 Cent of that. Let me help you, attorney. You know, that boy cut the check. You know.
If you look behind me, you'll see his book. You'll see 50's book right here.
Oh yes,
yes. Yeah, his book is right there. So that's my man. You see, 50's book is right there. So yeah, 50 would be in the top 5, and there would be a number of other people along with 50 in the top 5, but not during his era. I mean, I think 50 and 50's era is number 1.
Yeah, he's number 1 in his era. Yep.
Yeah. He controlled the rap game for a minute. So yeah, I gotta put him there. But
all right, my brother. Thank you so much for checking up on us. I want to thank BX Ho for making this happen as well. I appreciate you, my brother. I really want to meet you in person too, if you give me the honor, man, because I'm into people, man. I'm into people who get beat up, get stomped down, and rise from the ashes like a phoenix. Like, I'm into that. That's what I love. You know what I'm saying? I love, because everybody think they war ready, but they don't know they war ready until they go through war. And you went through shit.
Yeah. You can never even imagine it. You can never imagine it unless you know, when you're talking about a life sentence and being in a maximum security prison, that's all out war with no rules attached to it. So I agree with you, Fat Joe, and the honor would be mine. Anytime you want to get together, I'm good.
Yeah, Isaac, let me tell you something, man. Just I know you don't like to revisit that, but man, that shit is crazy, man. And I have a friend that's an attorney, right? And I asked him about somebody who's possibly, I can't big it up too much because then the people know what I'm talking about, but probably the illest dude of all time, the illest of all time. Mm-hmm. And I asked him, I said, yo, when they gave him life and you went back to the cell with him, you see, Joe, he had tears in his eye. I'm talking about the illest ever.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I sit there, I was like, damn, that shit hard, let alone that. And then, like, shout out my brother Pistol Pete, man. I would love for you to do a show too. He has a show, Dog in the Yard on YouTube, where he talks about people who've been to prison and how they reformed and changed their life around. And when he does that, You know, and I look and I see different similar stories. I seen guys who was doing so good in jail that the governors let them out, and now they run the youth detention programs for the kids. Like it's a lot of, you know, beautiful stories out there. You know what I mean? A lot of different gems, but it's just crazy, man, to just be motivated or inspired to look past that. But you did, man, and I recommend anybody to hire Isaac Wright out there in Jersey. You better hire him. This man is brilliant. This man is a genius.
I can actually practice anywhere. They got a rule called Pro Hoc Vici. I'm licensed in New Jersey, but I can using the Pro Hoc Vici rule, I can represent anyone anywhere in the country.
My brother, God bless you, man. Thank you for checking in with the Big Show.
Indeed, man.
Isaac Wright on TV, ABC, Life Story. It is what it is. All right, my brother, For Life on ABC, attorney at law, Isaac Wright Jr. Shout out to 50 Cent.
Yo, the saga begins. Begin war. I'll draw first blood, be the first to set it all. My cause, tap all jaws, lay down laws. We take it with jaws, we do jokes, brush the doors. It kind of D's, trying to make breeze, a gun's toss. If we fall, some team will go at your main stores. My non-Taurus, hit bosses and take hostage. Your whole setup, from the ground up, we lock shit. Blood, your eye, fuck up your optics. Switch to kill instincts for niggas pop shit. Your nigga know it's a topic. 9 pound, we rocked it. 96 strike back with more hot shit. Illuminate my team will glow like radiation with no time for patient or complication. Let's get it done right, my click airtight. Trapped in the never-ending gunfights and niggas lose strikes and lose life. Jail niggas sending kites to the street over some beef that wasn't fully cooked. Finish them off, well done me. Dead said 22 slug to your head. Travel all the way down to your leg. Hey yo, it's hell on earth. Who's next? I go to be first. The project's the front line, and the enemy is one time. I ain't got
this. I better big up Ciroc a million times. Revolt every Tuesday, 10 p.m. It's the biggest show in the game. Nobody even close. You know it. Don't lie to yourself. Tomorrow night, Dallas, Austin. Yeah, Jay. Yo, Jay, come on, man. You gotta stop, man. This is a serious show, Jay. Yo, Jay, this is a serious show. Put God first. Believe in God. Love God. I'll see y'all tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern. Competition is none. It's the biggest show in the game. Peace.